what I say is a life coach and a business coach to kind of move people along in life is important. And so, as our guests come and sit with us, and our co-host sits with us, we are really beginning to talk about real life challenges and problems that people face every day. Each person is sitting here. We've all been challenged by some of the same things, but more so, people talk to people a lot. Just being who you are, we find that people will want to tell you their life story. So we've heard a lot of interesting things. And what I wanted to do was have an interesting dynamic. I wanted to see how a 20-something-year-old would think versus how a 40-something-year-old man would think. I wanted to understand how would it be that, I guess we can't really call Tamara a seasoned woman from that perspective, but somebody who's in her 40s. What would she really say when we talk about relationships? Today, what's going to be powerful is we're going to be talking about relationship addiction. Now, I know you don't think that that happens, but there really is a such thing as being addicted to relationships. And that's what we're going to dive into. One of the first things I want to do is I want to talk about what that is. How do you recognize it? What does it look like? And then what do you do? And then I want to move to our guest. We've got Adam on my left. And Adam is in his late 20s, but a very powerful and intelligent young man. Has a lot to say about life, has an old soul. And Dad, his father, has taught him a great deal about life. So we want to be able to hear from Adam. Of course, you know about the beautiful Tamara, who's sitting to my right. And then you understand about the powerful Jeff, who's also sitting to my right. Matter of fact, Jeff, we always get these inquiries about Jeff and Jeff being a single man and his availability. So I want to invite women on the show, and I also want them to comment that they may need to meet Jeff in the flesh. So let's see what happens if we're able to do that, Jeff, because I get a lot of inquiries about who is this Jeff, and women want to be on the show because they love the topics and they want to find out what is Jeff saying. So we're going to invite them on. We're going to get their topics.
Okay.
Now, I have a feeling that since Adam is on the show, he may steal the whole show. In this sense, that most women may want to look at who Adam is. And we're going to do a lot of meet and greets and social scenarios so that you get an opportunity to do it. Tamara holds her own, and you know that. You know that men definitely find her extremely attractive. And when we do our social events, listen, she's always saying hi to everybody in the entire place. And so she's well known. So we want to really want to be able to move in our social life. All right, so let's look at this real quick. Love addiction. Love addiction, also known as, well, let's call it, I wanted to do the love addiction. When we talk about a love addiction, we also talk about pathological love. And then we're going to move into being addicted to relationships. Now, pathological love refers to a pattern of behavior characterized by a maladaptive, pervasive, and excessive interest towards one or more romantic partners, resulting in lack of control, the renounce of other interests and behavior, and the negative consequences. In love addiction, immature love, or love that is uncertain, love that is external, love that is blind and beyond one's control, permeates one's life. Now, the prevalence of pathological love is about 3 to 10%, but likely to be higher in certain populations, like 25% in college students. Pathological love must be distinguished from other conditions such as dependent personality disorder or borderline personality disorder. In these disorders, the patterns of dysfunctional behavior is not limited to romantic love, but love addiction also refers to psychotic disorders like sex addiction, erotomania, delusional disorder characterized by the assumption that another, usually high-status person, is in love with the individual. Now, what kind of disorder is love addiction? There's no consensus on the diagnostic criteria for love addiction, no agreements on what kind of disorder it is. For instance, pathological love may be an impulse control disorder characterized by impulsivity and novelty seeking. Now, others may believe that pathological love is a mood disorder. Another possibility is that love addiction belongs to obsessive compulsive spectrum. Like people with obsessions, and those with love addiction might experience repetitive and intrusive thoughts, except that their obsessions will be related to the person that they love, and not say health or cleanliness or concerns. Now, what kind of treatment would we really be looking for with pathological love? Now, that's something I want to dive into a little later. I want to really switch over to what we call relationship addiction. Now, relationship addiction is something, brothers and sisters, that we really have got to get into. Now, relationships addiction is when a person is addictive to relationships that may experience feelings of, watch this, emptiness, incompleteness, despair, and sadness that they seek to remedy by connecting with others. And so the relationship is seen as a way of meeting one's needs for love, attention, and security. Addictive relationships can be characterized by obsessive attention that is given to the partner while an inadequate amount is given to the self. I want to repeat that. You give an inadequate amount of attention to yourself, but you give great amounts of attention to another person. And these relationships are addictive in the sense that they is a compelling need to connect and to remain connected with a particular person. Find that they are unable to leave, even though they know the relationship is bad for them. Addicted persons may think a daydream about their partner too much. They give excessively of their time, their energy, their hopes, their money. All healthy boundaries disappear in terms of what they're willing to do or to give up in hopes of maintaining the relationship. Bad relationships can destroy self-esteem, prevent them from being involved, from moving on in their professional or personal lives. Now, how do you determine when you are in an addictive relationship? Even though you know the relationship is bad for you, and it is likely others have told you this, you cannot expect improvement. You take no effective steps to end it. You give yourself reasons for staying in the relationship that are skewed, not accurate with reality. You may experience feelings of overwhelming panic when thinking about ending the relationships. You may feel dread, terrible anxiety, and fear that you may cling to the person even more. And when you try to take steps to end it, you suffer acute withdrawal symptoms that include physical and emotional distress, which can only be relieved with contact and reestablished by the person. Now, what do I do when I find myself in an addictive relationship and addicted to love? One of the things you got to do is focus on recovery and make it your priority. That's one of the first things. The second thing you got to do is focus on identifying your needs and getting those needs met more effectively. Now, most people do this. They'll leave a relationship and they'll get in another, hoping that will heal them. You ever heard women say they'll get from underneath one man and get under another so that they can heal? And then you have some men, what do men do? They leave a relationship and they immediately start looking for what? Another one. They end up with mommies. Women who are going to take care of them, women who are going to look after them, women are going to do, they end up looking for mommies, and they end up really in another type of addictive relationship. So you got to identify and learn to avoid relationship games and roles you tend to fall into, such as a rescuer, a blamer, or even a victim. Now, most men that end up with addictive relationships, they really find themselves always wanting to rescue a female. They want to take care of her. They want to bring her out. They want to make sure she's good consistently. And what else do you think a man would do when he finds himself addicted to a woman or in an addictive relationship? What do you think he does? Beyond just take care of her, meet all her needs. What else do you think he would do? Tamara, what do you think he would do for you?
We relate the two main things on those, but I almost want to say that they can kind of be manipulative in a way, because if they feel like they doing this for you, then they'll they'll use that, what they do for you, to manipulate you to get you to do what they want you to do.
Jeff, is that manipulation, you think?
It can be good at
That is manipulation. You agree with that, Adam?
In a way, yeah. I mean, you got some women look at men as womanizers, but when you ask her that, I was thinking, you pretty much do anything, or could be aggressive, like just always on her without giving her space to breathe. Because some people throw stuff in people's face, like, well, I did this for you. You know what I mean? I don't personally agree with that, because like, if I want to do something, I want to do it. You know what I mean? I want to. I'm not looking for the return of, hey, I did that for you, you ain't gonna look out for me. What's the point of that? It's like throwing it in somebody's face.
Okay.
So some women find that, they say it's controlling.
That's controlling.
But what is controlling? Because for every woman, it means something different.
True. It's kind of like respect for every woman, every man. What you may think is respectful or disrespectful, your partner may have a whole different meaning or thought life about it. Now, in some sense, there's some normal expectation that if I'm willing to go on a limb for you, I probably would expect for you to go above for me. That's an expectation. Hurt comes from expecting something that you never get, right? And in most times when we're really giving ourselves to someone, we expect for them to, in return, give themselves to us. And when that doesn't happen, we do get hurt. It's a pain that Tylenol cannot heal.
And it's especially painful if you didn't explain it.
Well, true.
You was just expecting it without verbalizing what you expected back.
Well, and unfortunately, that is most cases that it's normally assumed that if I give you me, you give me you. It's normally an expectation, but let's look at things from a very different way. Some people are selfish. Some people grew up in households where they didn't experience love. They don't know what it looks like. And then some people don't love themselves, so they can't really love you because they honestly don't love themselves. They don't know how to love you. But when you're going in, you're going in, and we said love addiction can be blind. You're going in addicted to love, and most of us, believe it or not, are operating from a love addiction. You are addicted to someone, to having someone to love and someone loving you, and addicted to relationship. In your mind, this is the normal way that I'm supposed to live. And so you end up with people who may be good company. They may be good sex partners. They may be good travel partners, but they can't enhance your life, increase your life. They can't do any of those things. Let's go to somebody who's 20-something years old. Tell me, as a 29-year-old, intelligent male, what would you look for? Or what do you think most men your age look for?
Most men my age, 29.
Why you smile?
Well, it's a good question because, like you said before, I do have an old soul. That's because when I was coming up, I hung around a lot of family and people that were older than me, so a lot of stuff I experienced at a young age.
Okay.
So, everybody can be different, right? So you could be a certain age but be in a different time bracket, right? Like you could be 29 like me, or in your 40s. In reverse, you could be in your 40s with your mindset like you're 21,
okay,
right? Or you're 29, your mind like when you're 40.
Right.
But for asking that question, I would look, for somebody that's fun, good communication, outgoing, that definitely will stimulate your mind in a good way. That's going to uplift you, build you, and grow you, and take you to the next level, right? All the other stuff I think is extra, like you said, good sex and all that, right? Or just whatever have you. But the main thing, if you take all that away, is your communication. So I think communication has to be tight. And then also not to lose yourself, right? Because I know a lot of good men that's my age and younger, they, married, kids and all that, and then they really, really excited, happy, but I noticed a lot of them kind of get away from who they are to the point where they just saturated in their family and their kids, which is cool. But what about, what you used to do? I think you still got to have that balance, which I like to call bromance. You love your wife, you love your kids, but I think sometimes you still need to get out hang out with your men. do something with your man, go out, whether it's get something to eat or hey, let's go to the gym, let's go shoot some pool, let's go shoot some entertainment. Instead of just being, now I'm just with my girl, my wife. Then it's like, we ain't seen JP, you know, we ain't seen Jeff, where you been at? Don't answer the phone, or you know, when this girl come around, his wife, you know that the text or call, you ain't gonna get a response. But when she's not away, you know, he do answer on the text back, so it's kind of like, you know, have that balance. But I think it's about, you know, we all have needs at once. But that's why I think about it's good to have a partner that understands you mentally too, because what you do is what you do, and who you are is who you are. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So there's a scripture in the Bible where David says to Jonathan, so Jonathan dies, and David writes to him and he says, "Oh, how I miss you. Your love was greater than a woman's." What he was really talking about is you understood me and was a part of me and talked to me greater, because he was married to Jonathan's sister, than a woman, meaning we had one mind, we had one thought. Unity of thought is what relationship is really supposed to be about, what marriage is supposed to be about. Having someone in your life that thinks the same way you think. They approach things the same way you approach things, right? You have the power of agreement. So the unity of thought is the goal for every relationship. And what David said to Jonathan is, man, we had a unity of thought. Because every time Jonathan's father tried to kill David, Jonathan interceded. Jonathan made sure that David was always safe, right? So he says, I feel more protected with you. I feel more safe with you than I do with my own wife, because his wife did not do that. As a matter of fact, when David rescued his wife from being captured in one event, she jumped out there and talked about him so bad, called him all kinds of names. The Bible said he started dancing, and he actually danced out of his ephod. He danced because all he could do was dance, because she was really ripping into his character. I think it's interesting that you're 29 and you say, well, you need a balance. Because most people, even women, don't always operate with balance. They normally find other women who are who creates what I call trauma bonds. Women who are going through like you're going through, women who suffer like you're suffering, and you trade stories, war stories. I think it's interesting, he's 29, he says, yeah, well, you need some balance in your life. You need a brother to kind of talk to you. Because one of the things that you do in terms of overcoming addictive relationships is share with others that you have experienced and learned. In other words, you do need somebody to kind of pull you out. You do need that. You really do have to have opportunities where somebody is talking to you and moving you along. So I want to ask that same question to you, Tamara, being a woman. How do you feel about that? He said you need a balance. What do you say?
I totally agree. You need balance, because especially we as women, we do engulf ourselves in our partners and those that we're involved with, because we want to make sure, let me speak for myself. As a woman, just making sure that their needs are met, we're communicating, we're vibing and everything is good. But then you have that time where you do have to...
Wait, when you say your needs are met, like what?
I'm just saying, if you and I are involved and...
No, I want to know what their needs are.
I'm just
Jeff,
saying.
what's your need? She said your needs are met. I'm not. I just want to understand what their needs are. What's your need?
Physical intimacy.
All right, go ahead, Adam. What's your need? She said your needs are met. What's your needs?
Well, I mean, I think she should say, I think she should say it. But in the day, Jeff, he said, my mind is saying quality time.
Yes.
Because
and quality time
But
can be
it's
looked at
it's
in a
not
whole
just
lot of
that.
things.
Some guys, they of course they want that meal. They want the meal. They want that quality time together.
What do you think a woman is doing to meet the needs of men? What's she doing? What's she
Being
doing?
supportive.
Bedtime?
It's not just bedtime.
Mealtime? What is it?
Bedtime, mealtime. Some, clean clothes.
Mama.
Not necessarily.
That's what it sounds like to me.
I'm just saying. Not all men are like that. Not all men are like that.
I'm looking at these two. They're
Do
smiling.
you do all that?
Oh yeah, she does all that. She's gonna cook, she's gonna clean, she's gonna do all of that. That's the way she was raised. So Tamara's gonna do all of those
I'm
things.
gonna make sure his needs are met, whatever they are.
All right.
So are we saying that most men really don't know what their needs are? They
No.
just the basic needs of cleaning, booty, food. Is that what we,
I mean, some they need. They
do
need
you think
support.
most men know what they want?
Most of them. No.
That's the point I wanted to get. She wouldn't say it. She wouldn't say it, Adam. I wanted her to say that most women really believe that men don't know what they want.
But do you ask them? Probably
Sometimes
not.
I do.
She said she said she does.
If I want to meet their needs, yes, I'm gonna ask. If I don't care to meet your
Now
needs,
you see how everybody really thought that what I was really doing was it was aiming at her, or what they say coming for her, and I wasn't. I wanted her to say to me, well, Dr. James, most men don't know what they want or need.
Sometimes you can tell a woman what you need, and she gonna give you what she think you need.
Oh, okay, Tamara, there you go. Go ahead, Tamara.
So I don't know who that woman is, but I'm very observant. I pay attention to if I'm involved with you. I'm gonna pay attention. I'm gonna pay attention to what you tell me you need. I'm gonna pay attention to when you tell me what you want. So, and that's just me. I'm a cater. Let's be honest. I'm a cater to you. You know. So I don't know.
So Adam, what do you say when you hear women really believe? Do you really believe that women don't know what men need or what they want? Do you really believe that?
No, I disagree. You know, maybe she's saying that to rile up us or the crowd. but I think it's good though, because it creates a dialogue.
Okay.
But I think, you know, some men are different, but, you know, coming from myself, I would say yes. You know, I know what I need, because we all have needs at once. And that was a good question that you asked her, though. What does that look like?
Yeah.
Everybody have different stuff, though. But that's why I say I think everything ties to communication.
Exactly.
You know, I think the biggest thing is somebody understanding mentally. Because when you get there, you understand that person, how they move.
Okay, so what if a woman is just simply repeating what Aunt Mary did and what Mama did and what Grandma did to you, and one size does not fit all? What if that's all they know how to do?
Right. Yeah.
Well, so being a man, one part of being us is that we are teachers. We're teachers by nature. Do you think the average man is given instructions, or is he just simply receiving instructions?
Both.
What do you think the average man is doing?
Both.
Well, I mean, if you come from a good leader, I think that you already you have the instruction, and
You come from a home where mom and dad is in there, and your dad is definitely that leader. Or what about most men? Do you think most men come from the same kind of home you come from?
you know, I don't want to compare, but you know, there's some people don't have a strong, you know, man in their life, right? I mean, you can say, in my opinion, you know, a woman can't teach a man to be a man, right? If you're a single mother, you have a son, you do the best you can with him, but you can't teach somebody to be a man. You know, only men you can do that. Me and Jeff and you and me, right? You know, but a man, you know, it's like when I came up with my father's house, he's not even more in flesh, but my father taught me a lot, and my father told me to be a king, a leader, and know how to move. So I know how to do that. So I know what a family looks like and taking the lead and being the lead. But I also understand that I can teach as well. A woman can teach a man some stuff. It's not always about the man is one side. I don't believe it's a one-way street. It's a two-way street. You got to be able to give and receive.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you pick each other's brains. You talk to each other and learn.
So we're still talking about the goal of relationship is to become one.
Yes. Because
Okay.
if you together, you know, ultimate goal, if you meet someone, I think, you know, unless you're just messing around and just having fun, but if you're really serious and the other person that you're dealing with understand, then the ultimate goal is move towards marriage, right? And then when you get married, you become one. Your covenant becomes one. So you're one flesh.
So, but okay, all right, I will agree with that. The doorway, the journey of getting there. There is dating where you're collecting data, and then there's the courtship where you have stopped and paused and you are confirming. That's a confirming time. You are confirming your beliefs. We believe this. We believe this together. Because then when you enter into marriage, you enter into marriage already with a married mind, with an understanding, with a oneness. If you go to court and you're married, the courts can't make you testify against your wife or your husband because they see you as one flesh. The IRS can see you as one person, right? You're seen as one person. The problem is most people identify themselves in relationships as two different people. And so you have two different directions going in one house. And of course, a divided house will never stand. But you do understand that most of the time people are operating very much as an individual. I want to say what I want to say. We're going to agree to be disagreeable. Now, how can a household really operate with an agreement to be disagreeable? When it's true that you can only walk together if you agree. So how can you agree to be disagreeable in a relationship? That really doesn't work. That's conflict in and of itself. So most relationships are operating out of conflict, frustration. Anger is the cover for frustration, hurt, misunderstanding, all those things. And anger is declared as a weakness. It's not really a strength. It's really a weakness. But we've been taught in America that that's an angry man, he's a strong man. No, he's not a strong man. He's a very weak man that cannot control his emotions. He can't manage his own self. But I want to get back to the point of, Tamara, what do you really believe that most men want?
It's hard to say. I mean, I can't answer that because I'm not a man, but
No, from a woman's perspective, what do you think most men want from you? Let's go to you. What when men introduce themselves to you and want to be in your life, what do they want from you? What do they tell you their needs are?
Be honest.
Nowadays they just want to have what you call casual relationship.
What? Casual relationship.
Not really looking for anything long term.
I love it in a long time.
Of course, if they're attracted, they're looking for, one night stand maybe if I let them.
Stick in
Okay.
Nowadays, men just the ones that I've come across, they're not really interested. And if they're interested in keeping you, they want to keep you in someone else.
You're an extra. Okay. Jeff, do you think most men really? You agree with what she just said?
Unfortunately, I
No.
do.
Thank you. I know
Adam?
you're not tripping.
I mean, I think you have different outlooks. When you really value yourself and know what you're worth, you don't move like that. So me personally, I'm not like that. I won't be like that. So a lot of guys are like that, and I know some guys like that. That's why I believe, we have needs, and once you tell somebody what you want off top, then if you meet somebody and then you talk, and then you figure out that's what you want, that's what you say, if they agree to continue, then that's what it's going to be, right? Platonic relationship and just casual sex and keep moving forward. And then, if something else roll up on you that's better, then you bounce around. I don't like really moving like that because you'll never really set in your pocket and really let your wings spread and fly. So you just go on relationship, and then as you keep giving yourself to more people, having more sex, you degrade your value. I always been the type that can't nobody say they had me in any type of way, where I talked to him or had sex with him, because if you like that, as far as a male, a lot of men get the brownie points. Oh, he hit a lot of females, right? Sexually, anything that's cool, right? I always believe in quality, not quantity, right? Now, and then it look bad on the female, right? Who deal with a lot of guys sexually. She gets she's loose, right? It's not a good look. But, coming from a king status and the mindset of that you don't just give yourself to anybody or involve yourself sexually. It's to the point where if you want that, you got to really work for it. And can't nobody say, oh, I had JP, or I had Adam, I had Jeff, or Tamara. Like, nah, ain't nobody had that. That's a tough one. And you got to be for real if you really want that. So you got to put that work in. It's easy because if you've been ran through like this, like, man, I don't want that. That's,
Right.
You don't want to touch it.
Right.
Hello.
That's very true. And that's very true. No one wants to walk into a room and everybody in the room has had it. Everybody in the room knows what it looks like or what it feels like. You do devalue yourself in a lot of areas, emotionally and mentally, psychologically. Your self-esteem can really go down, or you can go to the I would call it the imaginary you, where you turn into somebody else. You're this woman or this man that is just on a wanted list because you're trying to rise above what is really going on in your life. And so you go extra, you dress extra, you do everything extra because you're trying to outlive the reality of being devalued and feeling devalued. So a lot of people go into extra everything. What do you guys think? If I see you being extra, then I'm for sure you're camouflaging something. There is something that is going on in your life and you have a need to be extra because you're missing something. You feel inadequate in your life, and going extra makes you feel like, you're somebody or you're something. All right. I want to ask some personal questions. Do any of you really feel like you've been in an addictive relationship? You just couldn't get out of it. You knew it wasn't good for you, but you stayed in it. Did you stay in it? Any of you?
Yeah.
Why? What was the purpose of you staying in the relationship?
At that time I was young. I really was still kind of figuring myself out. And it's just at that time I definitely can say my self-esteem was really low. So I took on a lot that I shouldn't have, not really valuing who I am at that time. So then when you have, that verbal abuse and, it kind of sticks with you. So you just kind of stay there because it's comfortable, it's convenient.
So you stayed in a relationship because it was comfortable. Jeff, you ever felt like you were in an addictive relationship?
I'm not sure if it was addictive, but I wasted time leaving when I knew that the end had came. And I stuck around because I thought that I could change it or I could make it work. But every day you get slapped across the face because you know that this is not going to work. And you need to be able to muster up the courage to leave, but leaving has a whole lot of consequences. You have to go out here and do a whole lot of other things. You got to find another place to live. You got to, it's a whole lot of things that come with leaving that you got to set up.
Leaving was harder than staying.
Leaving was harder than staying? Well, I'm probably the opposite. I took joy. Probably because I was taught to quit. Daddy said quit. Dad said quit. But here's the thing. Remember that we talk about being addicted to relationships. You give your partner more than you give yourself. You give them more attention. They are the priority of your life and not you. Remember to prioritize life. It's first God, loving God with all your heart, mind, and soul, right? Then the next thing is loving you, and then loving your neighbor or loving everyone else, right? And most of the time, we're not prioritizing life from that perspective. We esteem them over ourselves, and I've heard men say, well, as long as she has, I don't worry about me. That's addictive relationships. Adam, have you found yourself in one?
Well, like Jeff said, I wouldn't necessarily call it addicted, but I've definitely been there, and I always keep God first, everything I do. So, I feel like it was good times and bad times, but the overall goal, I feel like it was a lot of wasted time. So, I thank God that I came out on top, with no attachments. What I mean by that is, like for instance, like having a child, right? I don't have any children, but if I'd have had a child from what I'm speaking of that in my past, it would have been really toxic and really something hard to get away with, right? Because once you have a child, you can't give it back. You gotta you tired with that person, right? Unless you just leave it, don't have no response, you don't want to be done with, you just kick it and don't deal with it, right? But I don't have to deal with that, so I came out. But I definitely felt like I got better once I got out of that, right? Because I wasn't at full capacity, and then you deal with stuff and it get toxic and gets to the point where it's almost like normal with that person, right? And that's not healthy. So
Yeah, I like the way you said it. It's like it's normal. It's toxic, but to you, it's your norm. And a lot of people are staying in relationships, believe it or not, because it has become their norm.
And it's convenient.
And it is very convenient, so you say. But it's costing you something. It's costing you your own life. It's costing you your own peace. It's costing you your as he said, waste time. You can't get time back. Things that you should have been concentrating on, you're not concentrating on because your mind is in a cycle, a tailspin, because you're trying to figure out what you can do to please the person, as opposed to build on yourself. And that becomes a problem. Mental health has a lot to do with when it becomes a problem for you to live, or it becomes a problem for another person. So if you're in a relationship and you cannot see yourself as a priority, you're in trouble. You're drowning in that relationship. Now, what about being addicted to love? Do you guys think you ever addicted to love? You needed her to love. Let's go to the men. Do you feel that you've been addicted to love? You really need to find a woman. You needed to find a woman. You need to find a woman. You're addicted to love. Do you think you were?
Well, if you ask me, I don't like Jeff on the nod. I feel the same way. I think like I personally feel like we're addicted to love, but maybe from what you asked me, I feel like you asking like you're looking more so for an outlet, right? And some people don't have that, and they may go to a woman, or you feel that like you need that, right? Whether it's love or lust, you feel like you need that, but maybe you really need somebody to listen to you. Like I need help, or I am having mental problems, because mental health is real, right? It's a sickness, and you need help. You know what I mean? But some people don't have outlets, so that's why it's good building those good friendships where you can actually talk to someone and be yourself all the way without feeling like if I tell you, you're gonna tell somebody else. You should feel you can talk to somebody or a group of people where whatever you have on your mind, you can let it out and feel like you're safe. Yes. And then wherever's that stays right there and don't go outside.
Yeah, but do you ever feel like maybe the person, I feel like this, the person never really gains control of who they really are because you've gone from one relationship to another. You've gone from one relationship to another. You've never spent time finding out who you really are and how far you can really go in life. Because here you go again. This person is just nice to you. This person's just kind. This person just spends time. This person may be the opposite of what you had before, but who are you? Did you take time to really find yourself? Because I think that you probably will find that you're a billionaire in the rough. You're a millionaire in the rough, but you never took time to find that out. You never took time to find out your writing skills. You never took time to find out your thought life, your true thought life, your thinker. You never really took time out to find yourself because, again, you've been addicted to having a relationship or having love. And you've never come to find out who you really are. You go from one situation to another. And it's irritating if someone interrupts that, right? What do you think, Jeff?
So, as I have matured, I do take my time. I enjoy my peace. It's nothing better than my peace of mind. And I will not give it up for anyone or any toxic crap. I will get rid of you quick. But I didn't start doing that until maybe about 8 years ago, when I put me first in my needs and what I wanted. Because if I'm not right, I can't make you right.
So you're ex-military.
Yes.
You're a first line responder. You got police, you got firemen, you got military, you got all that. Do you guys think that most of the time, people who are first responders or in the military are in love addicted relationships or relationship addiction? Do you see that?
Yes.
I don't.
You don't see that strongly?
I see that.
Yes.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Why would you say that? Is it that brotherhood that
Just
you?
move so much? I just don't. I don't know. Maybe just my perspective.
If you're always remember what we talked about, the sadness, the disappointment, the hurt feelings, can't be alone, don't want to be alone,
Okay.
taken advantage of, mental abuse, financial abuse, sex abuse.
I changed my mind. I can see that. You're so sick. Well, I changed my mind because there are certain places that people get stationed at, and it's not any nightlife. And if you're alone, if you're a male or a female, and you're alone in North Dakota, everything closes at 6 p.m. You tend to find somebody, or somebody finds you that you don't necessarily, want one, but they're convenient in their business. So you can find yourself
Or the ones that you had before you went in. A lot of women like the muscles you guys are showing, and your tattoos, and your straddling looks. Most women, when they see an Adam or they see a Jeff, you got to be honest, they want to talk to you. And when you see fine women, you want to talk to them too. But you end up with again the look, but not the heart. The look, but not the mind. As a therapist, I've seen professional ball players, first line responders, government officials, politicians, all kinds of people come through the practice and consistently come through the practice. But it all comes to the same thing. The problem in their life for real are relationship issues. When it really comes down to it, it's how they have a relationship with themselves and how they have a relationship with other people. And I found that people with these uniform jobs, or people in the uniform, they are very much abused. They are very much in toxic relationships. They very much tolerate it because they make money to just, I'll just give you something and you'll make me, and perhaps you'll feel better, or I'll take you to Bali, or I'll take you somewhere, and when we come home, we're gonna magically be right? I'll take you to Mexico, and then when you come home, from Cancun, we're gonna magically be one, and then if that don't work, I'm gonna take you to Greece because I got the money, and then you think that that's gonna work, and you come home, the same person that went to Greece is the same person that comes home. That does not change the neurotransmitters. Their thought life and experience of life is going with you. As a matter of fact, you may have had a few good sexual encounters on the trip, but they normally come home and complain about the plane ride home, or while we was there, or when he was at the airport, or other things that's going on, because they actually believe that if we took these long, expensive trips, we're gonna love each other. That's false. What we call in therapy, false beliefs.
Me and you had a conversation about, you said something about acting like a husband.
Yeah.
Can you expound on that?
Jeff's want me to expound. I said Jeff's issue is that Jeff acts like a husband with every female. With every female, he acts like a husband. So there's an expectation of husbandry that he's really not prepared to give them or to be. But when people look at him, he looks like a little husband. He looks like somebody's husband, somebody's father. And because he has this look, and then, Jeff's not a poor man, and he's walking around, and he's resourceful, and he's doing these things. And women just want to take him home. He's so cute and cuddly, they just want to take him home and hold him forever like a panda.
Okay.
Not saying that he can't be a husband. He don't need to be nobody's husband right now.
Right.
Jeff has to experience being fully single without limitations. and expectations. You can't really be fully married until you're fully single, complete, separate, whole, and unique, and not living up to anybody's expectations or feeling like you're disappointing anybody else. And because he has such a heart, it's because he has such a heart. So now some women look at him and think he's a womanizer, but actually he's not. He's not a playboy, he's not a womanizer, he's actually a man with a heart. And that's what happens. You can get caught up. That heart can fool you though. And so it's just being able to say to Jeff, hey Jeff, just explore you just a little bit. Let's just put attention on Adam for a moment. Look at Adam. Look at him. He's young, he's light and bright, he's all muscled up. All tattooed. A woman look at him like, I'm gonna get him. They're gonna eat him up. They're gonna take him home and they're gonna put him in a milk bath and do all kinds of things.
Okay.
And he speaks like a lion. You can just see him. You heard what he said. He said, my father taught me to be a king. And he actually walks and talks and acts like that. It's not something he's just putting on. It's actually his heart. It's actually the way he walks and he moves. With kingship, everything has to be excellent around him. That's how he actually operates, right? But again, he's 29. What is the thought that should be present with him at this particular time? What is he thinking? I would want to meet some personal goals before I actually commit myself into anything else. What is my real personal goal? Do I want to have $1 million in the bank? Do I want to have $2 million in the bank? Do I want, what are my personal goals so that I have an opportunity to put the work in to a relationship in becoming one with another person? So it's personal goals. You should go into relationships without first meeting personal goals. And a lot of you make the mistake of going into a relationship and then working backwards. Mm-hmm. And now you got to take time to work the goal. And what are you going to be in? Have an argument over what? Time, right? The conversation is going to be invitation to thoughts and opinions. It's never going to be a communication of agreement. It's going to be thoughts and opinions. And somebody may say, I digress. I'm not going to argue with you. They may go along with you, but on the inside, they're dying. Just because they didn't overtly say what they, show actions, doesn't mean those things are not in them. And so they're not really going to enjoy the relationship. And you can only pretend for so long.
Yep.
You can only pretend for so long. You've got to meet some of your own needs. You got to reach some of your goals before you start trying to give more of you to another person. You would say something, Jeff?
What does it look like when it's the other way around, when a woman is acting like a wife? Is acting here it is again. Delusional. Because you have an expectation, she would have an expectation of him presenting himself in a way that a wife would expect. For instance, there's parts of you that only I get. That's what a wife gets. That's not what a romantic interlude or partner gets, right? She has these expectations that guy is not going to fulfill, right? Giving a guy the key to the house, letting the guy stay in the house when you're gone. Pretending, it becomes a lifestyle of pretense. Right? If you're gonna say, well, I'm wife material, then as Adam said, show value of yourself. Don't try to play the role of a wife when you're not the wife.
Absolutely.
That's not reality. You're setting yourself up for pain. Because what if he sees somebody else and decides she's going to actually be the one I say I do to? Then that woman is going to be devastated and feel used and abused, but you put yourself in that position. But I also say to the man, You got to be honest.
Yeah, sometimes he'll put her in that position.
Because if you allow her to play that role and you know you're not ready for that role,
He got it. He's
now come on, man. You got to take some of that responsibility. Some of that heat is on you too.
It's on her too.
and him.
Okay.
It's on her because nobody's teaching her and nobody's telling her. Lord, I gotta ask you two guys. Have you ever seen a woman trying to be a wife to you?
Yes.
I've seen it, yes. You know, like you said, like Jeff agreed, but you know, in one of Drake's songs, he said, you know, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym. So it's like, when I hear him say that, I mean, that you gotta put that work in, right? You know, you come along and think, you know, what I work for, what I gain, what I build myself up to, my body just hand it to you. I don't mind helping and assisting you to get to know you, but like certain stuff when you meet somebody, you're in a relationship, getting to know, you know, acting like a husband, you're not already there, or acting like a wife, you're not already there. You got to build yourself up to that, right? You showing each other like, is this what I want to do? Do I want her around? You know, she like, do I want him around? They always, they usually want the man to take the lead and ask the woman, do you want to marry? You know, so that's something that you build yourself to see, right? I personally don't like. Now I know some dudes that like it. I never really like for a woman to call me daddy or vice versa, right? I don't really dig that because I'm not your father.
That's
you know?
right.
And I'm not gonna do that. But I get it why people say that you call somebody daddy, call somebody mom, because how your father treated you is how like you may want another guy to treat you that you meet.
Or you
right?
never had
Or
the
never
treatment.
had it.
Right, exactly. So you never-
Now, but let me say this to you. You understand that if you go to this Episcopal wedding thing, who gives this woman to be married to this man, and the father says, I do, and he takes your hand, he takes the woman's hand and he puts it in the man's hand, you understand that he's saying, you're now taking my place. You're now becoming father, right? And in some sense, a husband is father to everybody. So that is not a total negative, it's how you view it. Because you actually take on his lineage. You take on his last name. You take on his lineage. You take on his lifestyle. You take on his everything. So it depends on how you're looking at it and how you're educated and how you're taught. Because with that also comes a respect. That a man shouldn't have to raise his voice because of the way the woman respects him. He should never have to raise his hand because of the way the woman respects him. And then if you're really connected, I don't even have to say a word because you can look at my body language and tell how I probably feel about something. If you're really connected. Same thing with a man when he's really connected to a woman. He knows that's dissatisfying to her, or she probably wouldn't like that, or that's going to be hurtful to her. And so before he does it, he considers his actions. The Bible says again, I think it's 1 Peter 3, chapter 3, verse 7, verse number 9. God tells him, I'm going to treat you, or I'm going to bless you how you blessed your wife, or how you treated your wife. Meaning she's the weaker vessel. And the way you handle authority is how I'm going to deal with you. Because if you can't handle authority, I won't give you authority. That's really what God is saying. If you can't handle authority, then I'm not going to give you authority. But he says, if you want your prayers to be heard, both of y'all, then you better learn to get along in that house. Because your prayers will not be heard if you're in the house pretending. Now that's powerful right there. Because a lot of people keep coming in and telling me, we're praying about things. I said, how? How? When the scripture clearly said he won't hear your prayers.
Don't hear it.
So now you're in front of me as a therapist, you're telling me a lie. I'm so glad that God gave me the P, the H, the D, and the M. Okay? I'm glad he gave me all the little initials, because when you come in and you want to go spiritual, come on, I've had the training. That's not it. That's you can't take me there. Because chapter 3, verse 7 and verse number 9, verse Peter says, he will not hear your prayer because you don't get along in that house. And it says that your prayer may not be hindered. That's what the scripture says. Then it says to the man, you don't know how to handle authority, so I ain't going to give you that. Right? It wasn't man that was beguiled first. It was who? Woman. So a woman can be a huge stumbling block to a man. Now I just made about 80 women mad. by saying you could be a huge stumbling block, but it's true. Because he'll be so busy trying to please you, he'll forget what God told him. You're supposed to be multiplying, dominating, but because you got to babysit her, because she don't want you to leave her, you won't do what you're supposed to do as a king. Well, this is true. Now you're not going to get the resources that you're supposed to get because he can't go be who he's supposed to be because you want him there. You text him 80 times. You call 50 times. You complain, and what you do is you take off your kingliness and you become a little boy, and you're gonna just suck a nipple.
So like that goes both ways. She said both ways. Yes.
Well, okay, let's discuss that about how that goes both ways. When a woman is walking in her purpose, was that what I'm understanding? And she has to stop walking her purpose to babysit him. Okay, let's deal with that. So the proverbial woman. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna move on. The proverbial woman. The mother is teaching the son what kind of woman he should go after. She is a merchant ship. That's the biggest thing that jumps out, right? She's supposed to take his dollar and turn it into $4. Now, I'm so sorry. I gotta tell you the truth. Most women know how to spend the dollar, but they don't know how to make the dollar.
Yeah,
They don't multiply the dollar. They will spend the dollar, but they don't multiply the dollar. Right? She is supposed to be calming and refining and all those things, and that does not necessarily happen. She's just in a house making noise. The Bible said he'd rather be on the rooftop than in a house with a nagging woman. So it depends on who she is, what she is, and how she's doing it. One of the things that we got to destroy is the man against woman syndrome. There is no man versus woman syndrome. You cannot. You are totally a man and you are totally a woman. There's no comparisons. You have a role to play in a relationship.
Absolutely.
And if you don't understand that role, if you don't understand your commitment, that relationship won't exist. Period. Then they can't hurt your feelings because it's just what it is. You're a woman and you're a man. You're a man with a womb. You're a man. If she's the merchant ship, what are you bringing in? Resources. Do you believe a woman should bring you resources?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Do you think that happens?
Yes.
Not as often as it should.
I don't see the ship from that dock coming.
You know. Yeah, what
The dock, when your ship is docked, the resort, the ship that should be, the merchant ship that should be sailing, don't sail.
Got to fish up.
That's the
We got to
addiction
fish
right
up.
there. People are addicted to someone's resources sometimes, and not necessarily
True.
the person.
That's so true.
You know what? That's very true. But we're gonna talk again about who that person and the role that person plays in your life. What is the understanding and what is the agreement? Are you the stay-at-home dad and she's the work? Can she make more money than you and you can be satisfied? I don't care if she makes more money than me.
That's slippery slope.
Do you care if your woman makes more money than you?
That's not gonna bother me.
Something to do though.
Yeah, well, not in the sense like, you know,
Something
me take
to do.
care of me. But in the sense like, okay, we make more than that's fine. I can stand on my own 10. You understand? My own 10. So and still move effectively, adequately. You know what I mean? That's all it's about. Cause some dudes probably cool with that, like, you know, make more than me and look out for me, take me. Like, oh, I ain't gonna do that. Sit back and chill. But you know, somebody's gonna be the breadwinner. Ultimately, you can both be out making power moves and killing it, you know, financially. But I believe that somebody is gonna probably be on top as far as who makes more.
I think we spent a great amount of time talking. I enjoyed all that every one of you had to say. I hope that those that are listening to us and watching us have gotten something out of what it is that we've said. And some things I intentionally say because I want to challenge people's thinking. I intentionally say things because I want to challenge your thinking. I want to challenge your relationship. I want to challenge how you believe you're having a relationship. Because without a challenge, you'll never work on anything. So again, I'm Dr. John Paul James, and you've been watching Living Life with Dr. James. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Adam, for being here. Appreciate you for coming on, Tamara. Always, thank you. Jeff, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you soon. And don't forget, you can contact Adam, you can contact Jeff, and you can send a message for Tamara. They're waiting on y'all. Matter of fact, they're gonna have some social events just for y'all.
Social event. Get you sang. I'm gonna be your backup.
Okay.
So,